On today's episode, we're going to tell you why the Seattle Seahawks need to target a quarterback to put behind Geno Smith in the 2024 NFL Draft. That and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network. And guys, happy Tuesday. And thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out to you for being our everydays. But I got to kick this thing over to my partner in crime, my guy, Mr. LSU himself, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on Twitter at TheTalentCode. Keith, talk to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? This is Keith Sanchez, senior draft analyst with the Draft Network, man. In 2019, national champ with those LSU Bengal Tigers, man. So you know what that means, right? We are here. Myself, Damian Parsons, we're here to bring you that championship level content surrounding the NFL draft 24/7, 365, whether that's draft strategies, whether that's draft philosophies, man. You just want to talk about mock drafts and draft boards. This is where you come to each and every single day, man. Your dynamic duo talking about everything NFL draft. DP, like we started at the top of the show, man, we have a hell of a slate, right? We can talk some Seattle Seahawks. We're going to talk about what have we learned. We're going to talk about rookie reports, right? We had a lot of rookies perform well from this past weekend, and then we're going to give out those game balls. So DP, let's get this thing started, man. Before we get started, why don't you give my title sponsor?
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, brand new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Keith, watching week 8 of the NFL, I was like, all right, what did we learn? What did I learn? And the trend with Geno Smith and the turnovers. And I'm like, okay, I think they are, because the San Francisco 49ers on the 3-game skid. They've lost 3 straight. I think the Seattle Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken, are at the top of the NFC West right now. Right? Had a hard-fought, win this weekend against the Cleveland Browns. But they need to target quarterback in the 2024 NFL Draft. Keith,
are you saying high, like first round pick, second round pick, or like what point?
I'm glad you asked. I was going to give comment. I don't want to piss off Seahawks Nation and think I'm saying you got to trade up and replace Geno Smith. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. That's, because they right now, if the draft were today, they were inside the 20s in the back, towards the back end of the first round, which is a good place to be, because I mean you had a successful season and you're not a bad team, right? Which they're not. They're a really good team. But the consistent turnovers with Geno Smith. So the context for me is like that back end of the first, second round, right? That's where you should be looking to target, right? I'm not saying trade up to go try and get a franchise guy like Caleb or Drake. Just trade the farm, right? And go up and get one of these elite prospects. But when you think about guys like a Spencer Rattler, right? We think about the Cam Wards. I mean, heck, he's right there. Like, you know what I'm saying? At Washington State, he's right there in your backyard, basically. Right. So, maybe Michael Penix slips down the board. Right. Like, I'm just saying, with that pick, depending on how low that pick is, if you are closer to the very back end of the first round, you're getting a rookie deal, rookie quarterback, right? Cheap contract, 5 years guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? For that prospect, while they can still sit behind Geno for one more year. Because, Keith, if I remember correctly, like, they have an out with Geno's contract. I'm trying to pull it up now. If I remember correctly, yes, they have an out after 2024. They have a potential out. Now, with that out, I think it's like it'll be like 17.4 in dead cap, right? But the reason why I brought this up is because the trend of him protecting the football is not even kind of concerning. It is concerning. He's got 6 interceptions this season. 5 have came in the last 3 games. 2 against Cincy 3 weeks ago. 1 against the Arizona Cardinals 2 weeks, in on the 22nd, like week 7. And then week 8 against the Cleveland Browns, he threw for 2 more interceptions. So it's like, all right, what is going on? So it's like in the playoffs, you can't have this stuff happen or you're going to lose games. But what they didn't do is we thought they would have done, right, is they had 2 first-round picks this past year in the draft. We were like, well, maybe because we knew that the Geno contract was going to have flexibility for them to get out of it. They didn't go quarterback at all. I think that this is the year that they do, not high, but back into the first, in the second round, day 2, go get you a guy. And I really like with the type of coach that Pete Carroll is, I would love for Cam Ward or Spencer Rattler to sit behind Geno Smith for at least a year.
Okay. No, and I don't mind those guys, and I don't mind that for the Seattle Seahawks because we talked about them being, when we talk about NFL franchises being ready for a quarterback, right? Like having your foundational pieces and being ready for a quarterback. And the Seattle Seahawks are one of those teams. They address the offensive line, they address the running back situation. Maybe they can double down on wide receiver a little bit. I know they went Jase Smith and Jigba last year, but we know Tyler Lockett's getting older. DK Metcalf, they'll figure out what they're going to do with that. And defensively, I think they have a team where this defense can travel, right? Like it's a solid defense that you can expect them on any given week to play high level football, right? Like they have enough talent on that side of football. So I mean, I can definitely understand it. DP, you talk NFC West. I'm gonna stay out there on the West Coast. I'm gonna stay in the NFC West, DP. I'm talking about a divisional opponent. DP, what have we learned? We learned that the San Francisco 49ers and Brock Purdy, they have a situation, DP. They had to be in the situation is this, that Brock is solid, but is he repetitive of what they've had? Right. And I think he's a step above Jimmy. I want to say he's a step above Jimmy Garoppolo without the turnover.
He is. I would say he is. He'll push the ball down the field more than Jimmy would.
Yeah, and so I feel like he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. But the question is this, because all the games that we've seen them lose, and I feel like I've watched a lot of 49ers football this past stretch. It's felt like they've been on primetime games a lot, right? This year. So you've watched a lot of 49ers football and even watching the tape. They're okay as long as they can jump out to the lead, right? Like they're one of those teams where it's almost they should just get the football first, right? And try to go down the field and score and immediately put the pressure on the offense and then let their defense step in, right? Make the team one-dimensional, let the defense step in, know what they're going to do, and they're going to fly around and, make plays, right? And just give the ball back to Brock Purdy because each team that has kind of offensively attack them, right? Like attack this secondary, attack that the nickel corner that they have and push the ball down the field and made plays, then it became an issue for this offense because it seems like they're trying to keep up. And then that's where you start to see the limitations of a Brock Purdy, right? Like you start to see the physical limitations. And then maybe this is some of the things that was on tape, right? This is why he may have failed in the draft, right? And not even saying that it was warranted till he fell to the 7th round, but I'm saying, even if he fell to the 5th round, right? Like maybe that was some of the things that they seen on tape, right? And when I watched it, and I'm watching this game because, listen, I was a guy that gave Brock Purdy a 7th round grade, right? And, you can say I'm right or wrong about that because he went in the 7th round, but he's performing better than a 7th rounder, right? At the end of the day. So I look at it and I'm like, okay, I like what he's doing, right? And that's what I would, you have to give credit where credit is due. But then now I'm starting to see the things that I've seen on film, right? Where it's like the arm talent, so the occasional bad decisions, right? Because I think he threw 2 interceptions, but it really should have been 3 because one of them was a roughing the passer penalty, I believe.
It was a bogus call.
Yeah, and it was already after he threw the football.
And then he fumbled the very next play anyway.
Yeah, so he made the decision to throw the football. Like it already happened. You know what I'm saying? So I watched that DP and I'm just wondering, I'm like, man, are they back into a quarterback situation? And then you could go ahead and fire up the Trey Lance conversation because it's going to happen again and all that. So what have I learned, DP, is that the 49ers could be potentially right back in the same spot where can this quarterback get us over the top?
Keith, and I think you're justified for that thought, right? Because when teams, and what have I been saying this whole time? I've been the bad guy, Keith. I've been the villain from the Brock Purdy fan club all summer coming into this season. And even when he was playing well, I wasn't really all in, you know what I'm saying? But it's like you said, the ability to drive throws just isn't there. And then it goes back to that Iowa State tape. When he was pressured, he made bad decisions. But they've played ball control. They play run game, play action. Trent Williams and the offensive line is keeping them clean. And then you don't see that. And then these past 3 weeks, we've seen that. And he also throws to spots. He doesn't really throw receivers open like people in the media like to push, like put that narrative out. He throws to spots. And one of his interceptions, 3 of his interceptions the last 2 weeks have been him throwing to a spot. And so we're seeing the issues that have clearly shown up that was on tape for him coming out of Iowa State. He was just masked, as I continue to say, by the Avengers, right? No Deebo Samuel. Christian McCaffrey's been limited. Trent Williams is not there. And now he looks like a different guy. Now, he played solid ball for 3 quarters. But then when the game was on the line and they needed you to keep up with someone, keep up with Joe Burrow, that's when you start making mistakes, because now the pressure is mounted.
DP, this is something I want to continue to have this conversation. So we'll bring this back up another time, right? And sometime during this week, man, we could bring this up, because this is going to be a very interesting case study, because you're talking about a team potential, like Super Bowl contender, right? And just 3 weeks ago, people were saying this is the best team in the NFL.
He was an MVP candidate.
Yeah, and he was an MVP candidate, right? So we had a lot of things going at that point. But DP, let's keep this thing going. Let's keep it flowing, man. Next up, we have our rookie report, where we highlight all of the best rookie performances from this past weekend. Stay tuned.
Whenever the game clock stops, it's time to order in with DoorDash. Guys, I live in the Greenville, South Carolina area, and one of my favorite places to order from, especially for dessert, is the Cheesecake Factory. Me and my wife both love it. We love the different assortments and varieties and the different flavors that they have to offer. So you think about having a great meal for dinner and everything, but then finishing it off with a nice piece of Reese's Cup, cheesecake, right? Double chocolate cheesecake, whatever, the red velvet cheesecake. That is delectable, and I love it. Me and my family enjoy it, guys. And you can do the same thing, right? You can use the DoorDash app and order it yourself. And you know what else you can do? You can get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter the promo code LOCK23. That's 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code LOCK23. The rookie report, Keith.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's we have to start here, right? We have to start with Will Levis, right? We have to start with Mr. Mayonnaise in his coffee, eating the banana peel with the bananas. DP, we have to start with Will Levis. And we're scouts, right? We're national, we're national scouts. We do this at a high level. And there was a lot of conversation about Will Levis, DP, being a top 5 pick, the number 1 overall pick, right? It was arm strength, it was athleticism, he's extremely intelligent, right? And then the process didn't necessarily play out at Kentucky. And I believe that we both gave him 2nd-round grades, right, going into the draft. And, that was 2nd-round grade, but still expecting him to go in the 1st round, just because it's quarterbacks get pushed up, right, just based off of the value charts and all of those type of things. But he wound up going in the 2nd round to the Tennessee Titans, DP. And we talked about it last week that Tennessee wasn't necessarily a great destination for a quarterback. Credit due, Will Levis makes I believe this was his first NFL start, right? Playing a lot. Did he even start the game? I cut it on. I don't even know if he started, because Malik Willis played also. So
yeah.
But just the stats, right? And 65% completion percentage, which is good. 238 yards passing, which is good. 4 touchdowns, DP. 4 touchdowns, man. I want to talk about this performance, and did it move you, right? Like I said, we both gave him 2nd-round grades. Did it move you at all on the Will Levis conversation?
No. I'm gonna be honest with you. It didn't move me one bit. I give him his credit, Keith, for what he was able to do. But the numbers was interesting, right? And dove a little bit deeper into it. So he's 19-29, 238, 4 touchdowns. So outside of the 128 yards that he threw to DeAndre Hopkins, who was open on like 3 of those catches that were touchdowns, he threw for like 101 yards to the rest of the receivers. And his yards per attempt were lower. And just watching that, I'm going to tell you what I saw from that game. I saw what Kentucky did for him in college. Heavy run game. You show the play action, deep 5-7 step drops off the play action, clean pocket. It was, you know what I'm saying? Like DeAndre Hopkins ran a double. He ran a stutter and go on one of his touchdowns. got Richie Grant to bite up. And it's like, okay, anybody from a clean pocket is going to make that throw. You know what I'm saying? So then you got the crosser, balls on the back shoulder, to DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins he's got like 10-inch hands or 3X gloves and all this stuff like that. He makes a great play. And then I think it was the one where, and truthfully, I felt like that should have been OPI because it's the first touchdown to D-Hop on the left sideline. D-Hop basically throws A.J. Terrell out of bounds.
That was
100%
offensive pass interference. I was watching that. I was actually watching that game live when that happened, and I thought for sure it almost felt like A.J. Terrell, right, in that moment, he knew for sure it was offensive pass interference, so he was kind of like, I'm good. Like,
for real.
This was blatant, right? Like, this was not even hard. And then he looked at the ref, and the ref was like, just didn't.
The ref turned a blind eye, like,
it had to be one of those situations where the ref wanted some excitement. Like, man, look, this game has been boring, man. You're talking about Desmond Ridder versus Will Levis, the Tennessee Titans. I need some type of excitement, man. We got to figure this thing out. I don't even want this to be
you're 100%. Like I said, he made the throws that were there, right? The open throws, stuff like that. But what I saw was when Atlanta started to get pressure, that's when we saw kind of the Will Levis from college, holding on to the football. When guys were covered, they played when the Falcons went to press man, they played physical, rerouted receivers. You saw Will Levis kind of get kind of skitty back there because he's like, oh man, like my first read isn't open, and I don't know where to go with the football now, right? And he made some impressive throws. He had one to Treylon Burks that was broken up by Richie Grant, and it was a dime. I give him all the credit in the world for that throw. That was a beautiful throw.
If we're talking about the same throw on the sideline, I think that was his best throw. Like the incomplete was actually his best throw.
He was pressured. He was kind of fading back a little bit on the back foot, and he just ripped it. And it's like, he didn't do anything that surprised me, Keith, because we knew what was my report for the Draft Network? His throwing motion, his footwork, all that stuff looks good. Everything looks aesthetically pleasing. It's okay when I get you off that first read and different things like that. Where do you go? And I think that's why, for me, I'm not moved. Now, go out there against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Also, the Falcons have one of the worst pass rushers in the NFL, and they lost Grady Jarrett to a torn ACL in this game. Yeah, this game, Thursday night, which we'll get to in a couple of days, you got TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. I think Cam Hayward's back. Yeah, it's a little different. Nick Herbig. We're going to see if you have as much time in the pocket this game, but I want to give him his shout out, Keith. But were you moved by the performance?
No, DP, and I don't know if it was the colors, right? It just looked like Kentucky to me. Like the blue uniforms, like you said, him taking those 7-step drops with a hitch, hit his back foot, and then letting that thing rip. Like that's what Will Levis does. Like that's why people wanted him to go top 5, right? Now, the question was all the other things and details that we've seen, because we've seen him have good games in college. Right? I think it was like the Tennessee game, not the last year, but the year before, right? He threw for, I think, like 300 yards. So we've seen those type of throws. That's what got people excited. Like you said, it's just once that's taken away and we play cover 4, we play too high shells, stuff like that, and then we force you to make all the underneath throws and to read the defenses, we'll see. And I don't mean to say that in like a, man, we're hating on him. That's not the case. I'm just saying that was the good parts, right? It's just like if it's a running quarterback and he gets in the game and start running the football, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's what he did in college, right?
That's his A-trade.
So yeah, so we'll see, man, because at the end of the day, right, and we talked about this and we're starting to see the process happening. This is why you tap into the Locked On NFL Draft, right? What did we say? You had 2 quarterbacks. You have no idea if either one of them is good, right? You have 8-9 games left to the season. It was time to figure it out. That's where I'm at with Will Levis too. It's just time to figure it out. If he's good, cool. If he's bad, we have to figure this out, right? And I think that's where the Tennessee Titans should be with this situation. So my overall grade, I'll give him a A to step in there, make the throws he had to make, lead his team to a win. Look confident, like I said, make the throws. But we also know there's still more to this resume that needs to be played out. We don't want to overreact, like you said. People 3 weeks ago,
teams got tape on you. They know what you like to do. They know how they want to structure the offense around you. I expected the Pittsburgh Steelers to try to take away DeAndre Hopkins and tell you to beat them with Westbrook Ikhine, to tell you to beat them with Chigo Okonkwo and Treylon Burks. Can you do that in your second start? We'll see come third, but we have time to talk about that on Thursday. Keith, before we transition, another part of rookie report. Bryce Young, right? 22 of 31. 235, got his first win. He had a passing touchdown, got his first win of the season, man. And it felt good. I know Panthers Nation losing their minds on Twitter, because they're happy, man. Like, they had nightmares of being the next, 0-7, the first 0-17 team, right? You know what I mean? To be the next Detroit Lions from
DP, you got to tell your local Carolina residents, they have to relax, man. They have to relax. After they went,
they don't know what that means, Keith. They don't know what relaxing means. Like, they are on 10 from the moment they wake up every single morning. You know what I mean?
I'm more than sure now after one win, right? They think that they're a playoff contender and they can make some noise,
bro.
right?
You should have heard the talk at training camp. They thought Bryce Young was about to take them to the playoffs. I was like, guys, your team is not that good.
Right.
I promise you. And then now they hate all the receivers. They think the whole line is god awful. Like, guys, it's a lot you got to fix. But I shout out to him. You know what I mean? I feel like that game was a really good game to me. I think we could have been talking about CJ Stroud if CJ Stroud got the ball back. So it's like Bryce got the ball back last. He ain't give it back. He ain't give it back to CJ with time left on the clock. So shout out to Bryce Young, man.
No, definitely. That was a good performance. Happy to see those guys battle it out, right? And then both of them look like worthy of the selection, right? They both look like first round picks where, hey, let's just get the rest of this stuff around me together and I could be able to, play some football, make some really talented throws. But DP, let's keep it going, man. Matter of fact, DP Coach K, man, let's jump in. Let's hand out these game balls.
Score early this NFL season, guys, with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, brand new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. Let me repeat that. New customers, today, you sign up today or tomorrow, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Guys, if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, first things first, why are you thinking? You should be doing it right now as you talk to me. Go sign up. Secondly, guys, there's no better place or time to get in on all of the action. Okay, there's no better time. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. Again, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season, because FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. Coach K, after week 8 of the NFL season, who gets your game ball?
Oh, DP, I'm going to make some people mad with this one, DP. I'm going to make some people mad, but I am going to the Dallas Cowboys locker room. I'm giving my game ball to Dak Prescott. Yes, young man, you deserve it. You deserve it. 25 or 31, 300 yards, 80% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. It's time to give this guy credit, right? Because when they lose, we say Dak Prescott lost them the game, right? When they win, we say that the entire team won the game. Like, in this, we can't have it both ways. Even if they blow a team out, it's like, oh, yeah, Dak Prescott is just a product of this. Or, and I just watch him play high-level football, man. He made some great throws yesterday. I think the first touchdown was that Jake Ferguson, I believe, him running a seam, and it was a beautiful touchdown throw. It's like, this is ball placement right here. This is where you throw the football. This is how you throw the football. This is what it looks like if you're a top 10, top 12 quarterback in the NFL. So I had to give my game ball to Dak Prescott because, like I said, it's much deserved. Like, we can't say that this was just strictly run game, right? And they were able to, hand the ball off 30, 40 times to Ezekiel Elliott. Dak Prescott made plays in this game, and you see him adjusting within this system, and they're figuring it out. Him and McCarthy are figuring it out as they go along, right? Of like, okay, how do we get the very best versions of Dak Prescott? Because we know it's in there, because I believe in 2021? I think he threw for 37 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, but everybody acts like that season never even happened, right? So, man, I had to give my credit to Dak Prescott.
No, I love that, Keith, because Dak played, outside that 1 interception, he was phenomenal. Him and CeeDee Lamb were on the same page all game long. That was a dominant win by the Dallas Cowboys. For me, Keith, I got to go to the Big Apple. And Zach Wilson, man, and don't get me wrong, the numbers aren't great, right? He was 17 of 36, 240 passing yards, 6.7 yards per completion and per attempt. He had 1 touchdown, right? Sacked 4 times. Shout out to Kayvon Thibodeau. Like, it was some rando nerds on some New York radio station arguing with former Giants great Carl Banks about how not feeling the presence. You felt the presence of Kayvon Thibodeau, on this past weekend because he had three sacks in that game. But Keith, down in this game, they needed to get to overtime, and Zach Wilson just made plays. And then I think it was in overtime where they needed to get into field goal range to tie it up. He made the throws to get him down there, and he just continued to make plays, man. And him and Garrett Wilson was able to really win that matchup with Deonte Banks, right? With Banks having a stretch of really good games. This was the most production he had allowed in like 6 or 7 weeks. So Zach Wilson, man, like he's grown in a lot of different ways, because the old Zach Wilson in a game like that, even though, Keith, I'm going to give you these weird numbers, the Giants were 6 of 14 for -9 yards in passing. Like the old Zach Wilson probably still would have lost that game.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because he would have just kind of, his confidence wouldn't have been there. But you see the confidence in this young man to still just keep throwing, keep punching, and that helped them get to, I believe their record now is they're 4-3. They're above 500. So I got to give Zach Wilson some love.
Yeah, well, Coach DP, I'm surprised at that game ball, but I agree. I'm with you. That game ball was a curveball.
I wanted to give it to Kayvon, but Kayvon, they didn't win the game.
They didn't win the game. Right. I'm with you, DP. I'm with you, man. But listen, that wraps up another show, man, of Locked On NFL Draft, man, with your favorite dynamic duo. Let me add in the extra adjective to that, man. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on Twitter at DTalentCode. That is DP Damian Parsons. You can find him on Twitter, DP_NFL, man. Y'all like what y'all hear? You don't like what you hear, man. Y'all tweet at us. Y'all talk to us, man, because we like to talk back. We like to talk football, man. We do this 24/7, 365. Make sure you tap in every single day.
Let's go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it's available, guys. Thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listens today and every day, Monday through Friday. Thank you for being our everydayers. On tomorrow's show, listen, we're going to have draft scenarios. We're going to have maybe another installment of Dame's Dudes. We're going to have a lot more coming for you on tomorrow's show. So come and join us again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.